World War Z. A little late with this video, guys, mainly because I didn't have an opportunity to watch the movie until last night. I saw it late last night after work, and I'm going to give my review of it right here. So, World War Z, very, very loosely based off a novel by Max Brooks. Really, you could argue that it's not based off the book at all and only has the name and nothing else remains, because there are so many radical differences from that book. But, I'm not going to sit here and try to evaluate it by how true it is to that book. I'm going to try to just evaluate it as a film, partially because I haven't read the book and partially because it can still be a good movie even if it doesn't follow the book. So, short version is there's a massive zombie outbreak on Earth. The zombies are very threatening, very deadly, very lethal, and humanity is quickly overrun, and the world has to quickly try to find a way to stop the threat. So, that's a very simple setup. The story revolves around one particular character, a former person who worked at the UN, as he tries to go from country to country figuring out how we can actually contain the zombie threat. So, obviously, when you're talking about a movie like this, to some degree you have to just evaluate it on how much fun you had, because this is a movie designed to be a cheap thrill. Watch zombies run around, watch zombies bite people, watch, some horror scenes, watch some action scenes, and on that level, I think this movie did quite well. One thing this movie does very well is you get a balance of both horror zombies as well as action zombies. What I mean by that is, if you think about traditional zombie movies, like the older zombie movies, when the zombies didn't move that fast and were just kind of ambling around, you're talking about movies where the threat lies in the fact that you're in a closed, small area. It's dark, you can't see very well, you don't know where everything is, and you're going around every corner waiting to be attacked, ambushed by zombies. It's about that fear of being in basically an enclosed area, and the threat is on a very small scale because it's several zombies, and while if you were in a big open area, you would probably be able to get away from them, no problem, because you could just run. But the threat comes from the fact that you're in this closed area. It's a small scale thing. So if you go to this movie's not really about that. This movie is about a billion zombies running around like a flood, running like Usain Bolt, like a bunch of Usain Bolt clones, just running around like a big flood, climbing up walls, using, basically zombies piling on top of each other to scale a wall, zombies moving like an ocean of bodies, basically, very, very fast, and there are thousands of them, and it doesn't matter if you're out in the open or not. It doesn't really matter what scenario you find yourself in. This is just a bad situation to find yourself in. And this movie has some scenes like that. A lot of zombies running around like crazy. The real menacing threat of these zombies, and the scenes are very big and very impressive to look at, and they're certainly worthy of the big special effects budget this movie had. However, at other points in the movie, they get to that smaller scale stuff where you're in closed quarters, there's not a lot of space, it might be dark, you don't know the area that well, and the intrigue comes not from the action of seeing a million zombies, it comes from the suspense and horror of seeing maybe just a few zombies. But again, smaller scale, they make everything smaller, condense it down, and basically turns it into a more traditional zombie movie. So we get both of that, and I think that's admirable, because I don't think that big zombie enthusiasts want to see a big, large-scale action movie. They do want to see their traditional zombie scares. And I think fans of summer blockbusters want a big zombie action movie. So The fact that this movie can give us both of that, I think, is impressive. And another thing to remember is while the zombies in the closed quarter areas may still be few in number, they are very fast and still very threatening. So you get that double effect of the zombies not only being very fast and very threatening, but also the fact that you're in a small closed quarters environment that's, you know, it's tough to fight in, tough to run away in. So the entertainment aspects of this movie are very good, and this movie is entertaining. But one thing I will say is that even when you're evaluating a movie like this, where it just has to be a good time, and I do think this movie was a good time, there are some other things that you look for, that you expect to see in a movie like this, that you expect to be handled with some degree of competency. And in some regards, this movie has those things, and in other regards, not. This review is spoiler-free, and I'm going to keep it that way, but the plot twist of this movie doesn't make any sense to me. It is in what, in my opinion, is direct contradiction with a previous plot point that had been established in the movie. And if you've seen the movie and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can ask me, and I can reply to you in PM, because I don't want to spoil it in public. But there is one thing about it that bothers me on that front, and that plot point is so crucial to the whole movie, I can't help but let it bother me at least a moderate amount. This movie has certain events, certain things, certain character traits that pop up, and I go, okay, we've established that this character is this, or this character does that. That's going to be important later. That doesn't happen. This movie establishes things about these characters, and not only do they never really come back to those characters, those characters pretty much disappear from the rest of the movie, or they may as well not be there. Once you see the movie, you might know what I'm talking about. In my opinion, that's a sign of slightly sloppy storytelling. It's not anything crippling, but in my opinion, when you're talking about a movie that has elements that look like they're going to be significant, and then you never see them happen again, and in fact you never see the characters again, hardly ever in any relevant way, you know, I have to look at that and I go, maybe they should have written those initial scenes out. Maybe they should have come up with another way to use that trait. And this happened once or twice in this movie and made me kind of think, you know, I understand that if they had done something with that attribute they had established, it would have been cliche, but it would have worked. And in my opinion, this just kind of makes things a little jarring. It makes me think, what was the point of me knowing that or seeing that if you weren't going to go back to it? So that movie has a lot of holes. In fact, I don't think it would be a stretch to say this movie was kind of dumb. And I'm not to say you're dumb for liking it, or you will become dumber if you go see it. I'm saying that the IQ of the movie itself was kind of low, in the sense that I don't think it did a great job of you know, coming together cohesively. But that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. So I would recommend it if you're a fan of this kind of stuff. Otherwise, this movie is different from your average zombie movie, but I don't think it's going to do anything to sway people who don't like zombie movies, because for a movie that seemed to want to be smarter than the average zombie movie, I don't think it was. Maybe in some ways it was better made than other zombie movies, but for the most part, it just wasn't all that well put together. But I will say, good time at the movies. If I was to rate it on a scale of 1 to 100, I'd give it a 60, where 50 would be average, maybe a 61, because it is a good time. And I know they're going to make a sequel. I'm actually kind of excited to see what they do with the sequel. I think they could do something good. So that's my review of World War Z, and my next movie review will be The Lone Ranger. And I'm already expecting to not think very much of it, but I already have tickets, so I'll be seeing that Thursday, and I'll probably have a review of it by Tuesday. So, see you then.